Hey guys, RC here. We are back with our Let's Play of Fast Break College Basketball 2010. We are with Houston Baptist, where we went 10 and 20 in our first season. Not a good time, but hey, uh, it was what it was. But we are starting scheduling now, and just wanted to kind of pick up here. Now, we only have 6 games left, or 5 games left, because of all the home and aways that we scheduled last year. Now, you can kind of see down into the season, we actually have some games really crammed in there, and that's one of the drawbacks with doing home and away series or road and home series. That those get jammed in and you don't really have any control. So we end up with games really compressed, and then we see games really spread out, and then we don't have any games prior to December 15th, going all the way to so for about 30 days. So we're only going to end up with 6 games in a 30-day period, which is not a lot. Usually we try to have, I try to have, 2 games a week, 3 games in a 10-day period, or in a 2-week period at worst. So anyway, we'll make do. It is what it is. Let's see. How about we go Texas State, and we can have 5 home games this year. So I'm going to offer all home games. We're going to act, well, I may do 1 road even so. Let's see. We'll go up a little bit in prestige. Then we'll come way down in prestige. And I want to skip up to about there to have as a good gap, because I've only got 1 game left. You can also see that I could have 6 games, but I only had 5 games available because of how I scheduled last year. Let's go ahead and take Illinois State and offer them a home game. So no games left. We'll sim the month. And we still have 2 openings. So I kind of want to look at the dates here: 11/22, 12/12, 12/7. Prestige of 70, 74. All right, well, I'm going to take that offer, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take the UAB. It doesn't hurt us at all. So we'll go ahead and take that. That has filled our schedule. So this will skip way ahead, and we have 4 scholarships for this year. All right, let's jump into our roster quickly and see what we are dealing with. And right off the bat, you can see that our incoming freshmen, while still rated red, have the most upside of anybody on the team. It's that's just very discouraging. Now, I actually posed the question today in my online league. One of the guys there is very knowledgeable about the game. Actually knows the programmer of the game, who's kind of on hiatus. I don't know. Nobody knows really what he's doing anymore. But still a very viable game. You know, 7 years after the fact. And 7 years isn't all that old, because bowl-bound college football, for example, is 12 years old. So, some of the games that are still in heavy rotation for me, and still are considered flagship games in their respective sports, are relatively old. You may have seen my Let's Play for Out of the Park Baseball, and that's really the only game that comes out on an annual basis uh, of any of them. People say that the text sim market is shrinking. I'm not sure why. Um, you know, I don't know if it's lack of exposure, people not knowing what it is, uh, too many kids coming out of the PlayStation and Xbox generation, and needing the graphics to cure their short-term memory problems. I don't know. And if you have short-term memory problems, that certainly wasn't meant as a slight, but I don't know, because I find that the text-based games like this to be very, very enjoyable, and they certainly lend themselves to the multiplayer format. So, for what that's worth. But let's see. Let's take a look at what we are going to need this year with 4 scholarships. So, first off, we're losing 3 centers and a power forward. And then if we look by position, that's going to leave us our freshmen. So I probably could get away with 1 center at minimum. I've got 2 sophomores and then the freshman. One of those is a walk-on. So arguably I would like, so I'm going to put this as a second option, I would like another power forward. We did not address small forward, so I'm going to put that as a must-have. I've got 1 2 guard and then a point guard. So I'm going to put down that I would like a 2 guard or a guard in general. Because if I get a good enough point guard that can shoot and handle, then I can play him out of position, if that makes sense. So anyway, just some real quick something to think about. I tend to get really engrossed in the colors here. Now, in the recruiting process, there's actually, to coin a phrase from some of the first-person shooters, but there is a fog of war, and you've probably heard that term in the gaming industry before, where you kind of can't see everything that's out there in your game. These colors are based on your coach's scouting ability. Now, my scout is pretty horrible, and my head coach, myself, I'm pretty horrible. Not where I put a lot of points. So my fog of war is going to be pretty drastic. Okay, so once the player is on your team, however, that fog of war goes away and you see their true ratings. So let's take a look at Barrios, for example. So these are his real ratings. There's no question here. There is no guessing. That is what he is. Okay, that will be the best he can get. Now, keep in mind the numbers are based on a 20-point scale. The letters are a rough approximation of his potential, but you can see we don't have a lot of potential in here. There's a little bit, especially in blocks, but everything else, down here we're maxed out. Stamina is how fast he can run and how long he can go. Jumping is his, vertical, being able to elevate. Strength is being able to pound in the blocks, things of that nature. So I've had a problem with this game. Not a problem with the game itself, it's my problem, but my problem is I don't look at these in as much detail as I probably should. I look at the shooting here. I look at hands and passing for my point guard. I look at rebounding ability for my bigs. I look at defense, but I really don't look down here at the athleticism. And the better the athleticism, the more they can dominate a game. And what I was looking at, for example, was I had a guy that basically was a CB rated on his shooting, and he was shooting about 42% a game. They had another guy that played for Kentucky that was also a CB guy, and he was shooting 61% a game. And I was like, all right, well, how is my CB guy 20% lower than this other guy? And especially if once they're on the roster and we know what their real ratings are, that there's no guessing or fog of war, how can I explain away that shooting differential? And it comes down to a lot of things. It comes down to these secondary stats. It comes down to the players around him on the court. For example, in that case, it was pointed out that his center and his small forward. It was a power forward I was looking at. The center and the small forward were both uh, also extremely talented, much more so than the guys on my team. They were also shooting extremely high conversion rates, which meant they were probably drawing some attention. Where on my game, the defenses might be doubling up on my guy. And also with these athletic stats, his guy just may be a better athlete, and so he's able to make better use of the same skills where my guy can't. The other thing that you want to keep in mind, and let me I think I closed it. Hold on, let me find it. There it is. These are just some notes that I took. All right, so um, okay, a JPS rating, that's jump shot. Inside is in being able to get inside. So what that inside stat is basically the ability to create your own shot. Okay, so just because he can shoot a jumper well, but he can't create his own shot, he's going to need a really solid point guard to distribute the ball to him and get the ball to him in space, because he won't be able to break down a defender and create space to get his shot off. On the flip side, you could have great inside or instincts. I guess I don't know if that's inside or instincts. I always assumed it was inside, but he could have a really bad jumper, and on jump shots, he's still not going to be very good because he just can't hit the shot. Even if he could be wide open and still not hit it. But if he's down in the blocks, for example, with a great inside, let's say he was a B there and he was an F in jump shots, but if he was really good with his inside game and he was really strong, good jumping, and had really good offensive rebounding ability, then he would be able to have the strength to get a shot up on the glass, the ability to get rebounds and get second chance shots, which would be a higher percentage shot. And so he would still be able to contribute. So you kind of have to really dive into these stats, these ratings a little bit more than I think I do. So that's going to kind of be part of this. I'm going to start trying to look at that. So I hope that helps a little bit. Also, what somebody pointed out was when you start looking at stats like that, so let's say at point guard right here, you would automatically assume that Deal's going to be the best, Hunt's going to be second best, and Dahl's going to be the worst, potentially based on just color coordinating. But you might have a situation, and it's going to be by position, that stamina, quickness, defense, handling and passing. If he's got really good quickness and stamina and really good ball distribution skills, then he might actually be better than as an orange than your green guy is. What you have to look at is the overall ratings, because remember, these colors are taking all of these ratings into consideration to come up with that color rating. Also, something to think about depending on how you play. Remember when I did the setup for this league, I turned off the 3-point rating, right? Okay, so let's take a look at all right, so just for example, Barrios. He's a green rating, right? But he also has a B rating, a C rating in 3 points. So, he's considered average there. Well, that being a C, is going to boost up his color bars when you compare that against, say, a guy that has a 3 pointer. He's got an F. So that one bar, if everything else is equal, is going to cause this guy to look worse than the other guy because it takes all of them into consideration. Even though we've got 3-point turned off, it's still a rating in the game. So something to think about. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys. That was some stuff that I learned just today. And so I wanted to get in and do another video and start playing again so I could start looking at this. All right, so we figured out the 4 positions that I want. Let's go ahead and get into recruiting. I want to come in and let's start with a minimum of 4 stars and minimum interest of average. Okay, so I have none. All right, so we have some highs. All right, they want to publish the video. So I'm actually putting up the second video in this series right now, and then I'll finish that later on. And then this is going to be episode 5, so just a heads up. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I am going to just evaluate all of these players. And I want to do all the ones that are high. All right, now we're into average, so we're going to bounce out of that. And then I'm going to go down to very high. All right, so only 2 stars are very high, so we're going to do those 4 guys. Now you can only put 20 players on your call list. And what that means is each week you or your assistant coach is going to be calling that player on the telephone, which is going to generate some level of interest. Let's see, now I want to sort the rest of these guys by rankings. And I want to go to average only. All right, so he's average, but if you know, well, he's 298. You know what? So I may have a shot at some of these guys. There we go. That's what I wanted right there. I was upside down. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just I'm going to go ahead and add them to my call list so I can at least deal with them. I still have, oh, I've only got $100 and something left. So I'm going to go ahead and, somebody must have been very expensive. Let me go look at that real quick. All right, we're going to look at general and only those on my call list. All right, now we're in Houston, so yeah, some of these guys are going to be way outside of my ballpark. Like Brian Harney, $816, whereas guys in Texas are only $382. So you have to kind of recruit closer to home. Going to have a little bit better chance, but I'm going to plan on still scouting, evaluating some players next week. So right now I do have all of my budget used, so we're going to go ahead and sim this month. All right, and let's get in here and start taking a look. Now the first thing, because I have I only want to look at my call list, and I'm going to reduce take anybody off that's low. So I want to look at everybody here. All right, so these guys at the bottom, these 2 guys I have not evaluated yet. So we're going to evaluate them first. And then these guys we're going to take off the call list, the guys that have moved to low. All right, so those guys are now off my call list. Now I want to look at contacted. Okay, so they're still there. All right, so now I want to look at my call list again. And we've looked at everybody. All right. So now I want to look by position. So I want a center. This guy is a freshman. We're not on his top 10, but he is high. So I'm going to go ahead and offer him. Well, let's take a look. So he can get off his own shot. He's an average jump shooter, so he can get off his own shot and shoot reasonably well. Can't shoot free throws, so think Shaquille O'Neal. He's got a lot of length. He can rebound on the defensive end, but not the offensive end very well. So that's going to cut down on his second chance shots that we just talked about. But he can also play pretty good defense. His stamina is not very good, but he is very strong. So he'll be able to push back in the block and maybe crash the glass, with that inside shot. Now, these numbers are all current ratings. Okay, so just think about, we know that when a kid comes out of high school and goes to college, he starts to work out. He's going to bulk up a little bit. He's going to get better. Same thing when you go from college to the pros. You're going to get stronger and better. So his stamina will go up. We just don't know how high. Okay, a lot of that's going to have to do with our training and our facilities. But we know that's going to go up over time. But he's already got really good strength. So I like that, but his potential in offensive rebounding is not great. So just for argument's sake, let's check this other guy. Not quite as good inside, but he can still get his own shot off, but his jumper's horrible. He can shoot free throws. We don't care about three-pointers, but he can hit the offensive glass really, really good, right? He's average on inside the paint and on the perimeter, and he's a really good shot blocker. Now, he's not very quick. He's strong, not quite as strong as the other guy, and he's really light. I mean, he, no stamina whatsoever. But does that mean maybe we'll have a better shot at getting him? Maybe so. So let me cancel this guy real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and visit and offer this guy. And I'm going to put all my points on him this week. Now, that's the problem with the low budget. I've just blew my wad on this one guy. Now, if anybody else had an offer, now the good news is I'm on his top 5. If anybody else already had an offer on him, I'd probably stay away from him. Okay? Now, let's take a look at my next position, power forward. Okay, well, small forward because that's a bigger need. All right, Oberg is orange, but he's listed as a 3-star. Okay, well, can't get off his shot, can't shoot inside. I don't care about three-pointers because we don't have a three-point line. He can shoot foul shots. He can be a solid rebounder, a really good post defender, steals, blocks, and he's actually average to above average for everything here. So he might be able to push inside with the ball. And this is also going to affect how you want a game plan because you may focus more on an inside game if you've got guys like this on your team. Now, this guy is a 2-star, but he's very high as far as interest. Okay, in fact, we're second on his board. He can get his own shot off pretty well. Not great, but pretty well. He can hit jumpers pretty well. Potential. Not really good right now. Free throws, not really. He can actually distribute the ball a little bit, so that could help in ball movement. Pretty good on the glass. I like that a lot. He's a average perimeter defender. Not very strong, but above average quickness, good jump, and a low stamina. Okay, so maybe, that stamina bothers me. Let's check the next guy. We're on his top 5. Like that. Average. Average there. Not a balanced rebounder, but more on the second chance. Of course, defensive rebounding stops the other team from getting second chance shots. Average defender. Everything else there. And Bush, better. Can't shoot very well though, so he's going to have to be an inside guy. So, but he's not very strong, no stamina. All right, so I'm going to go with Diaz. We're going to offer him a scholarship. All right, next thing we needed was a power forward. I've only got one on the list, which is okay. We're on his list. Nobody's offered him. Can get his own shot off. Can't shoot very well, but he can hit free throws. So if he goes inside and gets fouled, that could be the makeup of his game. Don't care about three-pointers. He's not going to be a distributor, so he's going to be a finisher at the basket. Average on offensive rebounds. Really top-notch post defender, but he can step outside and defend too. I actually kind of like this guy, so let's offer him a scholarship. Now, I don't have any money to recruit these guys, so all I'm going to get is the phone call, which is going to kill me, right? And yes, it will. All right, shooting guard. Now, I'm still evaluating these guys, so I don't have any attributes to look at. All I can go off of is right here. Well, 58% shooting, 19 points, 6 boards. He's an all-state. I'd say he's pretty good, but he's already got 4 offers. So we're going to take him off of our list. Archie Jones, he's got an offer from Texas Pan American. I am not going to have any money to recruit him. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to back off and not offer him. I'm going to keep him on my call list just in case anybody else, somebody, the other team pulls off of him maybe. And now I have an option here. I can try to go back, and I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to offer, and I have enough that I can do an assistant coach visit there. So let's do that. I like that. And that has used all my money. Now I can double click there and I can go into the entire pool, just click on somebody, and I can see that I am $18 shy. There's nothing I can do for $18. So we're going to go ahead and sim the month here, and we've reached the time limit. So I'm going to go ahead and put a cut here, guys, and we'll continue recruiting in the next episode. Thanks a lot.